special edition true crime stories. The most talked about cases, from shocking tragedies to inspiring tales of survival. Do not look away. I repeat, do not look away. Hi, you guys. Look what I found. Special CIAL edition. People. PLE. True crime. Stories. A killer in the family. Cold cases solved. Plus, catching the Golden State Killer special. Investigator. A reminder. Turn down your contrast and your brightness on your device, so it won't be so bright in your room. And maybe, if it's not so bright in your room, we can fall asleep quicker. And perhaps you can be the winner in our ongoing challenge. First one who falls asleep wins. So, this is a People magazine from, does it say what year? As I've been recuperating, I found this somewhere, and no, we'd have to go over to our channel. And so tonight's the night. And first, we're gonna go over all the stories available in this magazine. And then, if you guys have one you really want me to start off with, let me know in the description box below. Leave me a Kmart. Leave me a comment, and we can start off with that story first. But I'm disappointed. There's a date on here. I will find the date. post it in the description box below. This will be fun. So there's not really much to look at. I'm going to be reading. And I'm just going to be reading to you all this on the first page. If I get into some exciting photographs you might be interested in, I'll let you know. But for right now, just lay your head back so we can have a spooky true crime story time today. A People Special Edition True Crime Stories. The most talked about cases, from shocking tragedies to inspiring tales of survival. Do not look away. I repeat, do not look away. It's undeniable. Well-told crime stories carry a cannot look away allure and the power to shock, to move, even to inspire us to action. Beyond their sometimes gruesome details, they feature heroic, dogged investigators, good Samaritans putting themselves in harm's way, communities are pulled together, and occasionally fortunate and resourceful victims who escape mortal danger. People's Crime Team is unmatched in its pursuit of compelling stories of criminal behavior and justice brought to bear. This special edition has the latest on the headline trials of accused killer like Robert Durst and Chris Watts, who confessed to murdering his wife and young children in order to start a new life with his girlfriend. Also inside, new details of how DNA evidence may offer hope in the unsolved disappearances of dozens of women in Texas, and how DNA figured into the 40-year hunt for the Golden State Killer. In more than 12 true crime stories, we see humanity at its darkest, but also at its best and bravest. So, we have stories. In how many pages? 95 pages. With a lot of black and white photos for later. Excuse me, black and white and colored photos for later. Well, I need a new bubblegum ball to get started. This is gonna be fun. Oops. There you go. Killer in the Family Stories 1, 2. husband, father, murderer. Chris Watts killed his wife and kids to start a new life with a new lover. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be good. Next up, a family divided. Barbara Mendez's murder went unsolved for decades until Oxygen's cold justice got on the case. Next up, enemy in the delivery room. A new mom was slain, and her best friend is charged with her murder. Are you kidding me? Next section is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories unmasked by DNA. So they got caught by their DNA. Golden State Killer. How genetic analysis inspired detectives on the trial of a notorious villain. Next up, somewhere out there, the daughter of a murdered Utah shopkeeper turns grief into a quest to find that killer. Next up, Amazing Escapes. Oh, excuse me, there was only 2 DNA stories. 1, 2, 3, 4 Amazing Escapes. Jamie Claus alive. A teenager endures 88 days in captivity after her parents were murdered in front of her eyes. Next up, the children speak. Freed from their house of horrors, our survivors of years of child abuse face their parents in court. Next up, church abuse cover-up. 2 women accused a Jehovah's Witness elder of sexual abuse, and they say the church helped protect him from prosecution. And survivors, their cases of abduction, assault, and abuse made headlines. Now they're rebuilding their lives. And we have 2 cold cases. Texas killing fields. Since the 1970s, dozens of women's bodies dumped near a highway south of Houston remain a mystery. Also, faces of the missing. Every year, hundreds of children and young people disappear. Help us find them. Next up, notorious offenders. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those stories. Robert Durst, the renegade real estate heir, goes on trial for the murder of a good friend. Next up, monster in disguise. A popular landscape and shopping mall in Santa. Oh, let's start over. A popular landscaper and shopping mall Santa impersonator in Toronto turned out to be a killer. Next up, Perfect Recall. The man that the FBI calls America's most prolific serial killer draws eerily accurate portraits of his long-ago victims. Next up, Deadly Divorce. Jennifer Dulos lived in fear of her husband's violent temper After her sudden disappearance, he took his own life. On 2 special reports, second chances, convicted of murder. When he was 16, a man sentenced to decades in prison was released early, thanks in part to Kim Kardashian West. Last but not least, found snatched from a merry-go-round by a stranger, 3-year-old Laura Lindman is back with her family. Oh my goodness. Well, maybe we'll just do one story. Killer in the family. Cops know to keep an eye on the spouse, the parent, and the close friend. The ties that bind can lead to vicious crime. It says, behind the smile, Chris and Shannon Watts, seen here in her 2012 wedding photo, seemed happily married, but the husband secretly wanted his pregnant wife out of the way. Deadly betrayal, husband, father, murderer. After he claimed that his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters had disappeared, Chris Watts confessed to their brutal killings, part of a twisted plan to start his life over with a new girlfriend. Let's see. Here's a picture of him in 2018 on the left with might be his attorney. It says there's a picture of Watts and Nicole Kessinger on a secret getaway stored in a fake calculator app on his phone. I better get another piece of Bubblegum for this. I'm really feeling better today. Bubblegum balls and spooky stories. Attractive and openly affectionate, Chris and Shannon Watts seemed to have a picture-perfect marriage for the social media age. They had even met on Facebook when he sent her a random friend request. By the summer of 2018, the couple had welcomed 2 adorable daughters, Bella, then 4-year-old, and 3-year-old Celeste. They called her Cece. They were expecting a son that they were planning to name Nico. Warm and gregarious, Shannon generated scores of online posts showing her loving husband. I couldn't imagine a better man for us, she wrote on Instagram of April of 2018. As their friend Chris Landon told People magazine, I were the couple that you'd look at and then turn to your husband and be like, why can't we be like that? That idolized image was shattered forever in the summer of 2018. On August 13th, Shannon, age 34, and the girls were reported missing from their Frederick, Colorado home. For 48 hours, loved ones pleaded online and on TV for help finding the mom, who was 15 weeks pregnant, and the little girls. Last night, I just wanted to hear the knock on the door. Chris Watts told Denver's Channel 9 News.com, I just wanted to see those kids barrel rushing me and giving me a hug, knock me down to the ground. When Shannon's mother, Sandra Rizek, told Watts as he sat head down at the defense table, your children love you to the moon and back. It's hard to comprehend the depravity of Watts' crime, which sentencing judge Marcelo COPPA called perhaps the most inhumane and vicious of all the thousands of cases we've seen. Early on August 13th, Shannon, who sold health supplements for a living, had just returned from a weekend business trip when Watts killed her in the bedroom. The horror she felt as the man that she loved wrapped his hands around her throat and choked the life out of her must have been unimaginable, West County District Attorney Michael Rourke told the court. Watts drove his wife's body along with the sleeping girls to a remote oil company property where he buried Shannon in a shallow grave. Then he smothered his daughters in the truck. First Celeste, then Bella. Lacerations suggested that the 4-year-old bit her tongue multiple times as she struggled to get away. According to an autopsy report, indeed, Watts told authorities that whenever he closed his eyes, he hears his older daughter begging him not to kill her. Daddy, no. Watts shoved his daughter's bodies through 8-inch hatches of separate oil tanks. Oh. That same morning, he called the girls' school to unenroll them and contact a realtor about selling the family house. Then he texted with his girlfriend about their future and Googled vacation deals using a Groupon. Shannon may have suspected Chris's infidelity. She told friends something was amiss. He has changed, and I don't know who he is. She texted one day earlier. He hasn't touched me all week. Kessinger, who was not implicated in Watts' crimes, was placed in witness protection, and she moved out of the state under a new name. So her ex-boyfriend, so is her ex-boyfriend, for his own protection, and Watts was transferred to the Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin, once home to serial killer Ed Gein, inspiration for Psycho's Norman Bates. I pray that you never have a moment's peace or good night's rest in the cage you'll spend every day of your life in, Shannon's brother, Frankie, told Watts at sentencing. Kept in solitary confinement, Watts may have decades to be haunted by little Bella's last words. He's left alone with her thoughts for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A source who knows Watts told People he's in his own private hell. There's a family. There's a mom. And there's his mom and his sister. Was wearing this. Oh, wait, let's start over. Chris's mom, Cindy Watts, wearing a scarf at a 2018 sentencing, told her son she hates his crime, but I have always loved you and I still do. And then, Lowe, left in prison, Watts seen here with his mother-in-law. He agreed to plead guilty to the murders to avoid a death sentence, prosecutors said. Shannon put a crown on your head, but the day that you took their lives, God removed that crown. Shannon's mother said that. Oh, goodness. Well, page 10, we have another true crime story. I like these. These are just right. They're not too short and they're not too long. Next up is Barbara Mendez murder that went unsolved for decades until they figured it out. So if there's one of these that you'd rather I read next, let me know. Thanks for watching.